Hi everyone, it's Emma here from Litres Travel. We are getting ready to go on the Camino Mozarabe, and I thought I'd just jump in to show you my packing process and what it is that I'm packing for this route. So first and foremost, Camino Mozarabe is in the south of Spain, going through Andalusia. We're walking for, I think it's just short of 3 weeks. It is March, so springtime. Personally, I always find this the hardest Camino time to pack for because you have to think about rain, cold evenings, and evening outfits are always much more challenging. But right, let me whip through. So starting with the bag, I am taking my trusty Osprey Tempest. I've had this for a couple of years. It's a 30 litre. Love this bag because it's very adjustable. It's fitted to like my short frame, and it's got your kind of like good pockets, your waist pockets, your side pockets, all of the above. And then next up, sleeping bag. So because of the time of year we are going and because we're staying in albergues, I'm taking a sleeping bag, which it does scrunch up smaller than this to become more compact. Shoes, Hoka's, going for the Hoka Challenger, which is my go-to shoe. I find these great because they're just totally cushioned, great if you get foot pain and great for covering long distances, and a brand new pair. Next up, so hiking gear. So I have got my Berghaus rain jacket, which I've had for a couple of years, great for keeping the rain out. And speaking of rain, also got my bag cover, my waterproof bag cover that I just bought from Amazon. And then hiking outfits. So I'm thinking I'm going to be hiking in shorts most of the day. So on that note, I have 2 pairs of hiking shorts, both from Amazon, one kind of baggy, looser, comfortable, and one kind of tighter pair as well. Both dry really quickly, which is obviously what you need. And then I've gone for 2 t-shirts. So if I'm walking in the summer, I might go for like a vest or something. But in the winter, I think t-shirts are better, or in spring. This one I absolutely love because it has this kind of gap in the back, which just means you've got like a bit of air. And I also love, don't judge me, but the kind of loose armpits because it just gets less smelly, like digging into your pits. And then this grey one I love because it's super quick dry and also a bit kind of aerated at the back. It's an Amazon number. I've tucked in a sweater. This one's just like a Puma. Again, like quick dry, lightweight, great for walking. And I have packed a pair of Adanola leggings, which I'm loving at the moment. I've got them in a couple of different colours. I probably won't walk in these. I think it's going to be too warm, but they're fantastic for the evening. If it's cold at night, even sleeping in if it gets really cold in the evening. Because of the time of year, I've thrown in some extras, so little extra gloves and hat. I'm toying with the idea of taking a second jacket. This is just like a padded, lightweight regatta coat that rolls up really tiny, but I think, to be honest, on balance, I'm going to leave it. And then for the evening, so I find this really hard in spring. I've thrown together, obviously, like underwear, bits like that. I've got a lightweight sweater for the evening, just as a cover up, just to look a bit smarter than my sort of sweat. Like just a really casual like vest top to wear. And then I have thrown in these like lightweight travel trousers. Like I absolutely love these because they're warm enough for spring, but you're not going to feel too hot if you have to wear them on the day. So on this route, we have a rest day in Cordoba, and we're also finishing in Seville. So I'm keen to have something that looks the part and isn't just kind of like hiking gear on those rest days. So last minute, I have decided to throw it in this little dress. I bought this in Vietnam when we were traveling. It's just linen, and I don't know, I hate putting anything tight on in the evening in the Camino or during the day if I were having a rest day. So for me, just this like versatile dress. If the weather's warm, I'll just chuck this on. It was also very cheap. I'm not too attached to it, so if I do find that I'm not wearing it, like I'm happy to sort of leave this behind in an albergue. So that is all my clothing. Oh, shoes. So in the evening, I do tend to take sandals normally in the summer, but in the spring, it's just too cold and going to look ridiculous going out in like socks and sliders. For me, it's just not the way I like to go with my Camino evening. So I've chucked these in. They're a little bit bougie, like gold. Honestly, they're so lightweight. Sometimes I go with Toms. I just want something comfortable that I can slip on, that I can sightsee during the day when we have rest days, and also just wear to restaurants in the evening. So that's that. I have passport in plastic wrapper, keep it safe from the rain. You'll notice I have 2. I also carry John's, just in case he loses it. Have my wallet. So I go for like a little zipper because I know I'll end up with loads of coins. It keeps everything safe. I'll go through this before I go and like pick out anything I don't need, like my library card or whatever that doesn't need to come on the Camino. And then also going into the side pockets of my bag, sunglasses. This is an SPF for the face that I always keep in my little side pouch. I've gone through a few different ones. I tried the zinc, it doesn't really like work for me, so I'm going with this Clarins. It's great for sensitive skin. I love the smell. It makes me feel really kind of like nice and fresh when I'm walking. And then a couple of little kind of ziplocky plastic bags. I just put them in my pouch, like really handy if it's really pouring down with rain and you need to slip your phone in or any other valuables, or just for like picking up any trash on the way. Tub of Vaseline. That is the other thing that I keep handy in my pouch. The reason I take this with me is this is my blister prevention. So since I started walking the Camino, I have tried various things. I am very blister prone on my feet. I used to swear by pop socks, which I like these little tights, kind of stockings, and I used to put those under my socks. I also have quite good blister socks that I bought from Amazon. But I find coating my feet in this in the morning, since I've started doing that, I have not had a blister, touch wood, so that's what I go with now. And then, so I should have said I use packing cubes for my backpack on the Camino. For me, it's just like the way to keep my bag organised. So this is what I call my Albergue bag. So it's just a packing cube that I keep all the things I need in the Albergue in. So first off, a phone charging cable. I go for the super long ones because bunk beds, sometimes the plug's not right by the bed. I always have this. So this is just a canvas bag for the evening. Some people take like bum bags. Just not my kind of cup of tea, so I just go for this sort of like shopper. I can just throw my purse, my like, you know, whatever I need, my phone in the evenings and go out to a restaurant. Phone adapter, so again, like a European one, ideal. I have also got, I think, another cable somewhere in here that I use for my headphones and my battery pack, which I do not have here, but battery pack is super important and I will be adding it in. And I normally slot that into the top of my bag, so I've got it during the day. Pack of cards. So this is something John and I always travel with, a pack of cards, because we just enjoy sitting down and like having a drink and playing a game in the evening. So that is always with me. Trek towel, super important for staying in albergues. And then the next thing that is super important for albergues is a sleep mask and earplugs. So these are always with me. I don't have anything particularly fancy. I think I might have been given it on a plane. It's just one of those ones, but it works and it's great. Because of the time of year we're going, I'm also packing this extra pair of bed socks because I know I am someone who gets cold and, you know, just keeps me warm. And then pajamas. So this is always a bit of a conundrum, what to wear in an albergue when you're sleeping. My personal preference, I go for like an oversized t-shirt and just some like baggy underwear shorts. For me, that, you know, I'm comfortable like that. It's obviously personal choice, but yeah, that's just how it is. And then into my albergue bag, I also always put my toiletries bag. Now I have one with a string, so it can kind of hang in the shower. Looks like I have quite a lot in here, but it's really not that much. So deodorant, I have a comb, so I'm someone, I do take like a few cosmetic bits. So this is a lip and cheek stain. I travel with that because I just like to have a few bits. I take that and mascara and that's it. I have a few little hair elastics and toothpaste. I know it's full size, but we are there for 3 weeks and there are 2 of us, so I carry that. And facial cleansing wipes. I try not to use these every night, but if I have put a bit of mascara on, then they're perfect. Otherwise, I will just use this bar of soap. So I use this for like washing body and washing my clothing. It's actually only half a bar because I already used half when we walked, wherever we walked last, somewhere. When I first did the Camino, I used to travel with a soap that you could wash your hair with. And if you are only doing one Camino, I still really recommend that. But for me, because we walk so regularly, I can't get away with that. My hair will not be very happy. So I now do pack shampoo and conditioner, and I decant it into these little bottles. I also have moisturizer in a little bottle as well. And yeah, that is pretty much it. I have a very small first aid kit. So I know this is controversial. Some people travel with a lot of things. Personally, I really don't think you need a full first aid kit on the Camino because you're going to pass pharmacies. But obviously, it's important to have some essentials. So I have my multivitamins and other kind of pills that I take. I have allergy tablets. I have painkillers. I have a pack of Compeed, which actually I will keep in the pouch, not in that kit. And I have, this is just some kind of like vitamin powder that I use, obviously personal choice. And yeah, that is everything in the first aid kit. So coming up, final things, I have water. This isn't full, but I carry 1.5 litres. I'm not too sure on this route at the moment, like we might need extra water. Time will tell. I haven't looked at it into enough detail to know. And then I have, last but not least, 3 what I would call slight luxuries. So I think it's really important that, you know, we need to balance being lightweight with what we take on the Camino with things that are just going to bring you a bit of joy and make your experience better. We all have to carry our own bags, so really it's a personal decision. So my 3 things, slight guilty pleasures. One is this little duck. He has been with me on every walk and he's just a bit of a mascot. I mean, he's super light. One is a notebook and pen. It's small, it's lightweight. For me, like I found on the first Camino, I didn't take one and I really regretted it because whilst I was able to journal on my phone, there is something just different about carrying a notebook. And I prefer the kind of relaxed vibe of being able to sit down with my notebook at the end of the day. Obviously for our work, for travel blogging, I also take tons of notes. So that's what that is for. And then my final item is a golf ball. I know, a little bit strange. This is something I use in the morning to prevent tight hamstrings. So I will make a separate video about that on my yoga YouTube channel, Game Changer Yoga, because this is like the best trick I think I've ever come across for people who struggle with tight leg muscles. So save that one for another time. Okay, so I'm going to pack all of this now mess into my bag and we'll weigh it. Thanks so much.